Good afternoon, dear ladies and gentlemen. It's my pleasure to introduce Professor Dr. Yannis Iglezakis to you. Professor Iglezakis is Professor of Law and Informatics at the Faculty of Law at the Aristotle University in Thessaloniki in Greece. And at the same time, he is also attorney at law at the Thessaloniki Bar Association. As he told me in preparing this session, he splits his workload half and half, roughly speaking. So one half academic work, one half practical work. He is currently serving as head of the Department of History, Philosophy, and Sociology of Law. And he is also a member of the Office of the Dean of the School of Law at Thessaloniki. He received his PhD from the University of Thessaloniki, summa cum laude, with a dissertation on legal expert systems. And in addition, he holds a master's degree from the University of Thessaloniki and the University of Hanover in Germany. So we both of us spent some time in Hanover for this reason. In the academic year 2003 and 2004, he conducted postdoctoral research in data protection law at the University of Thessaloniki. He was also a research assistant earlier before at Greece universities and elected associate professor. And since 2020, he is elected as full professor of law. He has widely published in Greece and has authored many studies in international legal reviews with a focus on IT law, legal informatics, media law, economic and EU law. And in this role, he is also a member of the editorial teams of several law journals, has published more than 10 books and over 150 articles in Greek, German, and English, and has also co-edited several volumes. He has organized international conferences, worked in several EU-funded projects, inter alia, in one project which was on was on the development of a Greek cybercrime center. He was also a consultant in another EU project on monitoring and detecting online hate speech and similar other initiatives in this area. So we have someone in front of us with a very clear perspective on IT, legal informatics and law, with an international background and a practical background, not only an academic. Yannis, I'm really pleased to have you here. Thank you so much for joining us. Let me start with a very simple question, which is, how is academic life at the moment in Thessaloniki?
Well, thank you very much, Nikolaos. It's nice to be here. I just want to make a correction. I'm not longer the head of the department.
But you were, I'm sorry. So that
yes, I was.
Yeah, you were.
Every 1 year, once a year, we change the head of the department. So in answering your question, academic life is a bit strange since we are not getting into physical contact with our students, and we do all our meetings by teleconferencing. Also, exams are taking through e-learning systems. So we don't meet with our students and our colleagues. For us, of course, we are a fan of digitalization, this is something nice. It's a good opportunity for digitalization in the society, but still it's a bit strange that we don't meet with our students face to face as we did in the past. Mm-hmm. That gives us some opportunity to save some time. We do not have to spend time with traffic. Traffic mm-hmm. is heavy, of course, in the streets, but still that may change our relationships with people. Mm-hmm. And that's quite concerning, I think. Let's hope that this epidemic will soon be over.
Yeah. How is the law? How are the law studies organized in Greece? So when there is no pandemic, is it following the typical Bologna system? So 3 years for a bachelor and then 2 years for a master, or is it the old traditional system with just 1 degree, or is it a mixture in between?
We not exactly. We don't have the Bologna system. We have an LLB and bachelor study with 4 years, not 3 years. And I think it's a bit difficult for students. And then we also have postgraduate studies, of course, which at the moment is 3 semesters.
Okay, and the LLB after 4 years qualifies for all legal professions, or do you need a master? It
does. No, you don't need a master. You are qualified for all legal professions.
Yeah, after 4 years. Okay.
After 4 years, yes.
Okay, and if you want to enter law studies, you just need your A level from school, and then you need to pass an exam, or is?
Not really. We have national examination. So all students are competing, and they have then to choose some schools, some universities, which they want to be, where they want to be enrolled, and depending on their grades, some of them will be enrolled in the universities. So it's not like in Germany or in other countries. Here you need to pass exams.
And if you go to the exam, and if you are a very qualified student, one of the best of your year, are you then free in choosing where to study, or do you need to apply for a specific university?
No, you need to apply for a specific university.
Okay, and the universities are competing among each other. So Thessaloniki is in a kind of competition with Athens and other places, or for the best students, I mean, or?
No, we are not competing. It's up to the students. I mean, the students will choose the school, the university, which will be the first of their choice, depending whether they want to live in Athens or in Thessaloniki or in Komotini.
So students normally stay at home. They don't move around in the country for study purposes.
Well, if they cannot, if they are not so good qualified, then they need to do that. If they cannot pass in Athens, then they need to move to another city.
Yeah, but if they have to, I mean, that's more a cultural question, right? So, for example, in Germany, many students have the habit not to study in their home city. So, even if somebody is from Hamburg or Munich or Berlin, it would be quite standard that those people then study in Freiburg or Tübingen or Heidelberg, so another place. And that is not the case in Greece, if I understood it correctly.
Not the case, right? No.
Okay.
I mean, they would prefer to stay at home with their parents.
Yeah, probably also for financial reasons in many cases, right?
Yeah.
Are the studies for free, and how many students apply for how many places?
The studies are free.
Yeah.
But the places change from time to time. For example, in Thessaloniki, we have 300 each year. But still we have additional students coming from other foreign universities. So they have the right to be transferred to our university if they choose. So we begin with 300, and then we have also additional students from other universities.
Yes, and how many applications do you have for those 300 places, roughly?
We don't have directly the applications. I mean, there is a nationwide system where students compete among themselves, and those who get the higher ranking, they enter the university of their choice.
Okay, so you can't tell how many try to apply for Thessaloniki.
We don't know that.
Okay, but then the more attractive the city, the better the students, correct?
What do you mean? It depends. I mean,
well, if it's a national competition, and if those who are high ranked can choose where to go,
exactly, yes.
then
that's right, yeah.
Then everything which is in the lower end of the list ends up with students who are at the lower end of the list, right?
Yes, you're right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, students, they don't want to study in the islands, for example. We have universities in the islands. So in these universities, students with very low rankings are actually getting there.
And that has an impact on their career perspectives, I would assume, right? So the
sure, of course.
sure,
Yes.
yeah. So if you want to become an academic in Greece, you would probably need to go to Athens and Thessaloniki. And are there other universities in this league, or is it just the two?
You mean in law?
In law, yes.
Yeah. Well, there are. We only have 3 universities: Athens, Thessaloniki, and Komotini.
Okay.
Which is, in the border with Turkey.
Okay.
Near the border, I mean.
Yeah.
But it doesn't matter. I think in all 3 universities, you can have a career after you're finished. I mean.
Okay.
It depends on how good student you are.
I see. And after those 4 years of bachelor studies, if you want to become a practicing lawyer, you would probably need to go through a clerkship or something. Is that correct?
Then you need to be a referendariat, to do a referendariat for, I think, 1.5 years, and give exams to the local attorney bar.
I see. Okay, and everyone who passes the exams is then allowed to practice as a lawyer, as an attorney.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And
I mean, almost 95% pass the exams.
So there is no real selection happening there. Okay.
No. It's not like Germany. I mean.
Okay, interesting. And if you want to become an academic, you need to write a PhD, and and then apply for a position on which stage or in which age people normally decide that they want to become academics.
Well, that also depends. I mean, after you do a master's degree, then I think then it's the time to do that, because time passes by. If you are 50 years old, you cannot start an academic career. Too late. So you have to start early. I mean, I did that when I was 25. But it took me a lot of years. But I think in order to be successful, you need to start as early as possible, because in order to be a university professor, you need to do a lot of research.
Yeah. And as far as I know, the academic market for Greek academics, young academics, was very difficult already before the COVID-19 crisis, because of the general economical situation of the country not allowing to open too many positions for young academics. Is this correct?
Yeah, you are right. Due to the financial crisis which started at 2010, we have very limited positions in our universities. And so the young colleagues with PhDs do not stand a chance here. But there is some solution, because they can apply for a position in Cyprus, which is Greek-speaking universities. And so the way for them is to move to Cyprus and teach in a Cypriot university. This is also a good chance for them, I think.
But I know several colleagues who did not go to Cyprus, but to other universities in Europe. So you find Greek colleagues, for example, in the Netherlands or on Malta. I'm aware of one. And
Yannis,
Yannis, indeed, yeah. And so they are quite, and Greek academics are also outstandingly active when it comes to third party, in particular EU-funded research activities. And I assume that this is also another option, right? That you try to survive by bringing your own money for your salary.
Yes, of course. And I am always looking for such opportunities. Last year, I had a research project in the field of the mobile apps. So, and we edited, I also actually published a book on legal issues of mobile apps. And so we did a lot of research with other young colleagues, which were not professors, but young researchers. And this year we have another research project in the field of health big data. So, and I am constantly applying for research projects, and there are, the government here is is offering such research projects for young researchers. So now I have submitted a proposal in the related to this Bitcoin, this digital currencies, virtual money, and so that will also be an interesting field, I think. So I hope to win this or research project as well. And I'm always looking for new research in order to have the new colleagues, the new researchers with me at all times. In this very interesting field of digital technology and law, which brings us a lot of opportunities.
Yeah, and also challenges, I would call it. Let's come to the challenges back, perhaps now to the crisis. So your students are at home at the moment and they are studying from home, or are some of them on campus?
Well, some of them may have moved here, particularly those who are not from this city, but from other cities of Greece. I suppose they have moved in, but they are not going to the campus because most of the lectures are held virtually. I know only very few courses are held with physical presence. Also, the ministry gave us a directive saying that courses with less than 50 students should be held with physical presence.
Should be held. So okay.
But,
so the government wants you to get students on campus, really?
Yeah, okay. That's a bit strange, I might say, because it's very difficult to get the people with a proper distance in the meeting rooms and in the auras, and so I think most of the teachers did not choose for that option.
So it was an option or a recommendation and not a requirement. You are not legally asked or obliged to teach students then, or?
Well, it was not quite an option. I think it's more, it was legally binding, but there were some ways to get around. I mean, you could only do that if there was enough room space. So since the rooms in the university are not very well equipped, and we don't have cleaning staff, and some of the teachers have diseases which are a bit dangerous. So you could find a way out of this requirement and get around it.
And how do students feel about this? I mean, do they complain, or do they simply accept the fact that although teachers should be on campus, some of them are not teaching?
They don't complain. At least I haven't received any complaints from students. I think they're okay with it. But you know what what I have seen during the last semester when we started this video conferencing, there were more students than they are actually come to the lectures when they are held physically. So video conferencing is a very good opportunity for us.
Mm-hmm. And do you have the problem that you lose some of the students because they don't have access or don't have the device needed, or simply can't cope with the situation? Is there any
No, I
statistic?
don't think so. I think everybody has a computer, laptop, or a smartphone, so it's not very difficult uh, to follow up. I mean, it's I think it's fine.
And how do you do the exams? Because you said that you would do them remotely. I mean, how do you identify students, for example?
We have an e-learning system, and we identify students because we have an electronic service in the campus, and students get their own identity and email, and they have access to our system electronically. So we think we know their identity. Of course, if someone is very clever to be an identity thief, then we can. You never know, but
you don't need to be an identity thief, right? It would be very easy to simply transfer it to someone without getting it stolen, right? I mean, isn't that a concern that you would have, that students transfer the ID to someone who is already a practicing lawyer, for example, who gets payment for this?
Yeah, there is this danger, but what can you do? There's not enough room.
I'm asking you what you are doing. So you are accepting this risk, right? So this is this issue.
What we do now is that we tell the students to be identified with Zoom. So they should, all together, they are participating in a Zoom conferencing, and we can see their cameras, and they have to, before the exams start, they have to show us their identity card.
Okay, and that's also in written exams. So you start with a Zoom video conference, they show their ID card, then they are writing, okay? And you can't control then whether there is somebody else in the room giving the student the arguments, for example.
Well, you see the camera, but who knows?
And it's on during the whole exam. The camera is on during the whole exam.
On during the exam, yeah.
Yeah. And do students complain about that? Are there any data protection concerns about that?
Yeah, there are some students who complain about that. And we have, like, here, like some trade unionism in our universities. You don't have that in your universities, but here they have something like a party here. There are different parties, and some are very revolutionary, and they complain about everything. So they also complain about that.
But it doesn't change anything then, right? Of course. Okay. So it's just a complaint, but the method is not changed. So the method is still the same. Yeah.
Yeah. I cannot think of another method. What else can you do? I'm not also not in fond of surveillance, but what can you do?
Well, it's not my role to educate you on what to do, but I just know from several other universities, for example, you could switch to oral exams only, where you can identify students better and you could control the environment better, or you could change to group work as a method of examining students, where it's not that critical whether it's really this person and only this person. You could switch to homework exams, take home exams, ask them to write some kind of seminar papers instead of written cases, and so on. So that's at least some of the methods that I learned from other universities that are chosen so far. But if I understand you correctly, you remain with the old system and try to identify students using Zoom.
Exactly, but yeah, you're right. But there are some teachers, there are some professors who also use alternatives, such as the oral examination. But in order to do that, you need to have very few students. I mean, if you have 300 students, You cannot do that, yeah. But if you only have 20 students, of course you can do an oral examination.
Yeah. And the examinations are made by the professors who are teaching. So you examine your own students.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah. And you have 300 of them every year in some of the classes?
Exactly. That's a big problem, yeah. If the course is facultative, mandatory. So if the course is optional, maybe you have less.
Yeah. Oh, okay. And is somebody challenging the system with legal means? I mean, are there students who sue, for example, or teachers who sue?
Not yet, but who knows?
But not yet. At the moment, you are not aware of any pending cases in front of courts.
No, I haven't heard of any case.
Interesting. Did you change anything in the amount of students that you accepted this year, or is it the same amount as always?
Same amount as always.
And the number of applications, did that change? That students tend to study something different now instead of law, or is also this stable?
No, it's very popular in Greece.
Why?
I think medicine and law are the most popular professions.
Because they have the highest social prestige, or
because the prestige is very high.
Okay.
And the reward also.
Okay, and that did not change now. Okay.
That did not change.
And if you look into the rank of the social prestige of legal professions, is the professor something which is attractive to the most brilliant students, or would they prefer to become a judge or a lawyer?
Some of them who want to have a very steady profession, they prefer to be a judge because then they are civil servants, and the way their salary is always safe. That's safer than being a lawyer and having to struggle every day. But it's not very easy to become a judge, because then you have to study very hard to get the exams done to be a judge.
I see. Would you recommend a brilliant young lawyer today to become an academic in Greece, or would you suggest that he or she should choose something different?
Yeah, no, of course I would recommend him or her to be an academic. Yeah, academia is always looking for fresh minds or brilliant people.
And the opportunities and chances are good enough to make this something that you could still recommend, right?
Yeah, but they are not very good. But I think the most brilliant ones will not get lost.
And when it comes to our discipline, is this a proper legal discipline in law at the moment at university? So do students have to study IT law or digital law or legal informatics, or is it just something that they can do, an option?
Today it's an option. I mean, in Thessaloniki and in Athens, it's an option. In the third university, it doesn't exist. And it's very difficult here, because I have tried to add a new course on particular on internet law, and other professors do not agree with me. So it's very hard for me to push for more courses on digital.
Okay, and did that change because of the pandemic? I mean, do you think that the understanding that there are some legal issues that might come out of this that have something to do with digitalization, is that better understandable for your fellow colleagues now than it was before, or is there no change visible?
There is no change, unfortunately, for colleagues here who do not understand this, that this is very important for a lawyer today to study the new digital law. And courses like computer law in general, or more specifically internet law. It is very hard to introduce such courses at least in our universities here in Greece.
Because your colleagues argue that this is no proper legal discipline, or because they argue that it's not relevant, or what is the argument?
The argument is that it's not so important as their old disciplines are.
Okay. End of story. Okay. So interesting to hear, because I think, my personal lesson so far is I think that it's getting easier now than it was 5 years ago or 10 years ago to explain why this is something people should be informed about, and that it should be part of basic legal education to have at least some clue about, I don't know, intellectual property, data protection, e-commerce, electronic contracts, and so on. Not really in Greece yet.
Not yet. We still have a long way to go, I think.
The teaching language that you use is exclusively Greek?
Well, I teach in Greek, but also we have Erasmus courses. So I also teach in English, and I have a course where I teach in German. I teach internet law in German.
Yeah, for Greek students or for an international audience, or both?
For both, but Greek students do not attend this class. They find it very difficult because German language,
It's difficult indeed, and it's not really the first foreign language that one normally learns, right? So it's probably the second or the third. Yeah.
People normally learn English or French.
Yeah.
It's a long way. You need to study very hard to learn German.
Yeah. And do you, among those 300 students that you have, how many of them are not Greek? So how big is the international part?
We have very few students because they do not speak Greek.
So it's not really, there's no real option for someone who is not fluent in Greek to study in Greece.
Yeah,
at least, yeah.
At the moment, because we haven't had any English classes yet. But after the change of the government, we have a new school of medicine, actually, in English. So some universities are starting this now to offer university courses in English.
Yeah, but not the law school yet.
Not the law school yet. We have now a plan to offer a master course in English. That would be quite interesting. We also had a lot of discussion about this. It's not very easy for professors to accept these new things, But I think next year, 2021 to 2022, we'll have this new course rolling.
Sorry, I didn't understand. You will have this new course rolling. Okay, and rolling. Okay. I see. Okay, that looks very, this is also interesting, because I hardly can imagine that one can argue today that English is not really a precondition for, at least for some legal careers, right? And that it would be wise to have an option for students who want to go into this direction to have it in English if they prefer. But let's see. Let's see what the master course is bringing. And the master course is for students who want to. Who is doing this? Is it only for future academics, or who?
No,
or is it
also for lawyers, for practitioners?
Okay, so people who are already in the legal profession and still want to get some additional knowledge in a given field. That would be the target audience.
The target will be audience from our northern neighboring countries like Bulgaria, Serbia, Albania, and so on.
And will it be on law and economics, or business law, or
business law?
Business law. Okay.
So that's that's what we argue. We had an argue about. So you see that the first thing that comes into your mind is business law.
Yeah.
So that's exactly what we have thought of.
Mm-hmm.
We have a course on European business law because that would be more attractive for international students.
Mm-hmm. 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 Yeah, the problem there is you are competing with the rest of the world in a way, right?
Yeah,
So,
of course, yes.
Yeah. So, and when it comes to the academic staff, how many of your fellow colleagues are not Greek? Is there any significant part of international staff?
Not really.
Not really.
They're all Greeks.
Mm-hmm.
But all that Greek academics are very fluent in foreign languages like
German, I know.
English.
Yeah, there is a long tradition that many of you spend part of the time, at least in Germany, right? So that's. Yeah. And is this tradition still living? So do the younger colleagues do the same?
Yeah, they do the same. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Of course, now we have English, which has become the lingua franca.
Mm-hmm.
So people also, I mean, the academics are also writing now in English. They become very fluent in English, publishing books in English. So, but of course, studying in Germany is also, I think, a requirement if you want to be a serious academic.
And Austria is not really competing in this market, is it?
No.
No. Why not, by the way? Do you have any idea why everyone goes to Germany and no one goes to Austria?
I don't know. I don't know. Austria is more beautiful country than Germany.
Well, I wouldn't say that, but at least, I mean, there are some nice places here and also quite good universities in Austria as well. And I was always wondering why everyone goes to Germany, and I've never met a Greek colleague here in Austria. But so it's by tradition in a way, or
that's tradition, I think.
Yeah.
There is no reason for that.
Mm-hmm.
Why not? I think Austria has very nice places and good universities, of course.
Yeah.
But it's more expensive than Germany, yeah?
Not really. And education in particular, not really. And also daily life in many ways, not really. So there is not too much difference. I don't think that this is really a factor. I think it's more the tradition. Yeah. And let me ask, so if I understand you correctly, after all what you have explained me so far, there is not too much change coming now because of the crisis, right? So everyone waits in a way that it's going away and that you are back to normal then in academia. Would that be an appropriate description?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. So students and teachers are waiting for, okay. I'm just asking whether there is any kind of plan B if it should turn out that this situation is going to last longer than just one term or two, but there is none visible at the moment at the horizon.
No, actually not. That would be frightful, yeah.
So and every teacher is doing this online style teaching at the moment as he or she believes that it has to be done, or is there some kind of centralized guidance?
No, there's no centralized guidance. I mean, everyone does this as one thinks. I mean, with PowerPoint and all the other means available, we also have e-learning systems. So we could deliver. We could deliver learning material through the internet. So we have this combination with video conferencing, live streaming, and the delivering of material online. I think it's not bad for students. It's not the same as the physical contact, but still is very good, I think.
Yeah.
And it's allowing more students to participate.
Yeah. And do you prioritize first-year students when it comes to campus activities, or is it really just the size of the lecture class?
Well, it's the size of the lecture class, actually.
Okay. So there's no difference, because, for example, many universities in other countries try to bring their first-year students on campus, arguing that it's in particular important to help them in adapting to their new lifestyle, and that it's less important in later stages of their studies. But that's not the approach that you're taking at the moment.
No, maybe I have understood wrong. We also have the same attitude towards first-year students.
Okay.
We also try to get them into the to university. So, and that's of course is difficult, but we try to offer them some classes.
Okay. With smaller attendance groups, then it's less than it
smaller groups. Yeah.
Yeah.
So now we have a lot of room available because the most courses are not held there, but so we have a lot of available rooms. So we split the audience, and first the newcomers can visit those places.
And when it comes to video streaming and video classes, those are then primarily for second, third, and fourth year students, and everyone again uses his or her own system for this, or is there?
Yes, of course. There is no other possibility. Everyone uses his own system. Yeah.
So if you think that Zoom is the right solution, you take Zoom, and if you think that Microsoft Teams is right, then you take Microsoft Teams. And
we don't use Microsoft Teams. We use Skype for Business and Zoom.
Okay, and both of them are provided by the university. So that's the two options.
They're provided by the university. We have both the licenses, and so we use them.
Okay. And there was no concern about or discussion about data protection, privacy, surveillance, control, data transfer, etc., coming with this?
Not as much as it was in other countries. We didn't have these problems with Zoom. At least in Greece. I think in Cyprus they have the problem with Zoom bombing. You know, this is happening. But in Greece we didn't have any big problems with video conferencing or any problems with concerning data protection. At least as far as I know.
Okay. And you would know if there were any, I would assume, because it's your field of expertise, right? So, yeah. Okay. And when it comes to your practical work, Yannis, did anything change there? I mean, is it the same as it was before March, or did anything that is important change since then?
We also the practical work has moved online. So we try to do things as much as possible using the internet and using teleconferencing. So I avoid physical contact as much as possible.
And the clients accept this, and the courts as well?
Well, the courts were shut down for a while. And the clients, of course, they accept it. What can they do? I mean, there are, of course, in the courts, there are measures in order to control the pandemic. And we don't have any real problems so far. I mean, there were some court clerks who were infected, but not too many. I mean, one in one court, another in Athens court or so, but we don't have any big issues with people getting infected in the courts. So, and judges are also, we do not have any infections among the judges. So this is a protected area as far as possible, at least. There are not big problems there. The problem is with elementary and with elementary schools. We have started now with all the students in class, and I don't know how this would continue. I mean, in the winter which is coming, we have still summer in Greece, you know. It's still warm outside, but I don't know in the winter time how will this play, because if where all the students or the young pupils are in at school, I don't know if there will be many big inspection incidents. So,
I mean, this debate, we have it quite intensely here in the northern parts of Europe as well, and school has started here already. And also infection rates are increasing in many of the countries. So I know what you're talking about indeed.
Yeah, that's a factor, a very important factor. I mean, because there are a lot of people who are meeting every day at school, so maybe they will. This is a multiplying a factor of multiplication for infection. This concentration of people in schools.
Yes.
So we'll see also in Northern Europe how will this be developed. I hope that we have soon some medicines available or vaccines. Let's hope. I think we still don't know.
Yeah. Good, Yannis. Thank you for your time. Is there anything you want to add? Anything that I should have asked? Anything?
That's okay. Currently, I think we have issues. I mean, as far as the pandemic is concerned, relating to teleworking. It's now it's also a new thing for Greece as for other countries, and this should also be regulated. There were no regulations in the past, and we have to find the ways to regulate teleworking and similar issues. Maybe we also will have data protection issues with teleconference, as you mentioned. Now, where our new academic year is starting, we'll see how this goes.
Yeah. Let's see. It will be indeed, and all this about electronic work from home, that is indeed a very, very relevant and upcoming topic. Yeah. And are there any concrete plans already about laws, or is it still a general debate? Or do you have already something on the table?
Well, the minister has promised to introduce a new law, but still
it's not there yet.
It's not there yet. Yeah, we're waiting still for it.
Yeah, that's the same, for example, in Austria. So we have a promise and we have a perspective, but the perspective is somewhere for early spring next year. So it's still some month to go. Okay. Thank you, Yannis. I really appreciated this. I enjoyed the time. Thank you for all the insight and the open words that you shared with us. I wish you, although the perspectives are challenging, a nice time and a very good weekend. I thank all our listeners and viewers. Have a good weekend too. Enjoy the time, stay healthy, stay informed, and stay interested. Have a good weekend. All the best. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Nikolaos.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.